Today is May 24th, 2026, and it's still a bad day to be bullish on Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin is in a bear market. Bitcoin is in a downtrend, and it is not over. This is a counter trend bear market rally. If I just move a couple of the trend lines here, you can see we are getting rejection at the 10-period moving average. That's the red line you see right here. We've dropped below the 10 period, and then we drop below the 20 period, the blue line, and now the 10 has crossed below the 20 period moving average, and now the 10 is approaching the 50 to get a bearish cross. When that happened back over here, when the 10 crossed the 50, that was followed by this. We had a rally going into the 10 and the 50 period moving average, dropping below it here. We bounced out the 50 and then dropped below it, closing below it on Friday, and now we're going back up and we're testing the 10 period again. If we hold below the 10 period, get a push down to a new low towards the 100, towards the lower boundary, which moved on me here, then we can either going through the testing the lower boundary, going down and bouncing off of it, or trying to break it and then get some kind of bounce maybe off the support zone. Could just plow right through this area. Again, the MACD has gone negative now after a bearish divergence has formed. And again, that is what happens right before you get these drops. If we can stay in the negative region right over here, when we saw the MACD go negative, we're getting these rebounds right here, but then it was followed by this, and the MACD went deeper into the negative region. We saw it with the previous sell-off after the October high as well. I zoom out here, things might move a little bit as I zoom out, but as we saw the MACD go negative here, we got these rebounds. We had the final exit point. We rallied back to the green line, the 50-period moving average. But again, you went into the negative territory, and it was followed by this dramatic sell-off. 36% here, nearly 39% right here. So again, we'll be watching to see what happens right here. But again, going into the negative region and remaining there, you have a sharp sell-off and then this attempted recovery back into the 100 period moving average here, and then same thing here. We dropped into the negative region, went back into positive territory, got back above the 50, went back negative again for a pullback to the support zone, and then going back into the positive territory into the 200 period. So rejection at the 50, rejection at the 100, rejection at the 200 period moving averages. Divergences play out. We've seen the divergences play out. We've got one on the RSI and it's moved into the negative region. The histogram, the rate of change, momentum, we've got it all over the place. The MACD as it's starting to go negative, the money flow, it's everywhere. And so again, got to be watching, see if we come down here, start taking out the clouds, start taking out the lower boundary. Here with the linear scaling, I've excluded the shadow down here. And again, we have this bear flag, rising wedge going into the upper boundary, into the 200 period moving average. And again, we've sold off now 10.30% from that high. We're trying to bounce a little bit after we've taken out the 50 period moving average, rallying back up into the 10 period, a declining 10 period moving average. The momentum cloud and the 10 period and the 20 period are all acting as resistance for Bitcoin. Please support the channel. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like my charts, and you will, and if you like my indicators, and you will because they're right. If you like that kind of cutting edge information, please support the channel. I don't have any sponsors. I turn those offers down. Most YouTube channels make their money through sponsors. I choose not to do that. You know, I know that the exchanges that want to sponsor channels, I know they're not going to be the next exchange that goes under, and a lot of them, again, try to get the newbies all leveraged up to wipe them out, the people that don't know what they're doing. There's a lot of shady deals. So I just asked, I'd rather not get involved in that. Again, the exchanges would pay a lot of money for me to send people there. I choose not to do that because of those reasons. Please consider supporting the channel. Follow the link below to take you to a secured site and you can donate any amount you want. I thank you for your consideration for that. If you could take a moment to do that, I would really appreciate it. I want to talk to you about the weekly VWAP. Here I've marked the previous three bear markets and our current one here, and I want to show you something that I'm watching. Now, this is the bear market from 2013 to 15. This is the bear market from 2017 and during 2018. This is the bear market from 2021 to 2022, and currently we have a current bear market. And yes, we are officially in a bear market. I know the Moon Boys are still in denial, but we are officially in a bear market, a confirmed bear market in the daily, the weekly, and the monthly time frame. What I'll draw your attention though here, we've had from the peak on October 6th, the VWAP resistance hold as resistance, and we've seen this at other times in other bear markets, which is where we've come up to right now. We're getting rejection right there, VWAP resistance. In the last bear market, again, we moved up into it, just like right here with the bear market rally, and we stalled there. That was right before the bottom fell out of Bitcoin. Over here, we stalled at it initially, and again, trying to slightly overthrow it in these bear markets, but getting rejection at it. And here, again, moved further away from it and saw a bigger decline here. Same thing. Again, initially, we tried to rally towards it or tried to get it back above it, but eventually, again, it acted as resistance. At every single bear market that we've had, the last three bear markets, our current bear market, the VWAP from the high is holding as resistance, and it held as resistance until the bear market ended. Held as resistance until the bear market ended. Held as resistance until the bear market ended. We don't have that. So right now it's holding as resistance. It's continuing to do what it's done in the past. Bitcoin is continuing to do what it's done in the past. The VWAP resistance from the peak, the end of the bull market, and the beginning of the bear market. So that is still holding. By bringing it up close, you can see, again, we tried to get back above it with our miniature relief rally. We tried to get back above it with the final exit point, but it's acting as resistance, as it's done in the past. And right now, we've rallied up into it, and it's acting as resistance, VWAP resistance. It's the volume-weighted moving average. Now, we bounced off this level of support, and I want to talk about that here right now, this VWAP support level. Now that VWAP support level is from the low of the last bear market, the 2022 low, and we bounced off of it, okay? The dotted line is from the last bear market, or the start of the bear market high, or the end of the previous bear market. So the start of the last bear market to the low of the bear market, that is the VWAP support levels right there. Currently, we've bounced off of it, and we've rallied into the VWAP resistance from the October high. So that's where we're at. If you look at this with the previous bear markets, back into 2013 and to 14 and on into the 15 low, the peak and the bottom of the bear market, the bottom of the bear market here, has marked where the bear market ended. The next bear market ended that VWAP support from the bottom of the previous bear market low. Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? We stayed above the high where we began the bear market, the previous bear market. We stayed above that level here. In 2017 and 18, we marked the peak here, and we marked the low here, the purple line right here, low of the bear market, and lo and behold, again, the VWAP, it marked the bottom of the next bear market. The bottom of this bear market marked the bottom of the 2022 low bear market. The bottom in 2015 marks the bottom in 2018. The 2018 low marked the bottom of the 2022 low. And we held above the high from the 2017 high. Again, we held just above that level, just like we did back over here. We tagged the VWAP support from the low of the previous bear market, and we held above the high that started that bear market, and did the same thing over here in 2022. Now we have these levels. Now we have the VWAP support from the 2022 low, which we bounced off of, and here, that was just above the dotted black line, which was the peak from the 2021 high that started the bear market, 2021 and 2022. So again, oh, it's a bottom. And the people telling us we have a bottom right here at 60,000. The people telling us that we have a bottom here at 60,000 are the people that told us that we had a breakout at the top. They're the people that told us that how foolish it was to believe we were going to go down to 60,000. And now they're the experts telling us that 60,000 is a bottom. And some of them, as we're now starting to sell off, I told you, would start to say that we're going down to the 200 and 300 week moving average, and then we're going to form this bullish falling wedge. I told you exactly what they were going to say before they said it. All their predictions about 200 and 250,000, and that we're going to be at 200 and 250,000 by the end of 2025, and 300,000, no 500,000, no a million. All their predictions have been wrong, but all my predictions about them have been 100% correct. The Moon Boys and the experts were cryptocurrency, I would be a trillionaire. Everything I've said and predicted about them has come to pass. Nevertheless, I digress. Is what I want to draw your attention to is if we get rejection at the upper VWAP resistance level, as we've done early on, again with the last bear market with the miniature relief rally and then the bear market rally, and then again some of these rallies early on, into the bearish phase, which were followed by the bottom falling out of Bitcoin each time. If we see that here, again, we'll come down below 60,000 and down to this dotted line, which was the peak of 2021 that started the previous bear market. If you do that and you drop below these levels, the low of the previous bear market, the VWAP support level here, and the peak that started the bear market of 2021 and 2022, you will have a change of behavior, in that the low, the previous bear market low, is no longer marking the next bear market low. And here, the bear market low, the purple line, no longer marking the bear market low. So the previous low, if the pattern is to continue, we should bottom right here, which we know that the 4-year cycle has been intact and that we have at least another 4 to 4.5 more months of selling, where this should go on into September or October. And it could be extended on into 2027 if we get a dot-com style bust in the stock market, which we're going to, a bad recession, which we're going to. The recession indicators are flashing right now, and another banking crisis, which we know the Fed is trying to stave off a banking crisis by injecting liquidity into the banks. They will not be successful. Have a banking crisis and a financial crisis worse than what we had in 2007 and 8. Going to happen. The risk is that Bitcoin drags us out into 2027. There's no guarantee that happens. The 4-year cycle could remain intact. Bitcoin could bottom before the stock market. And if the Fed does end up doing jumbo cuts after a much bigger drop on Bitcoin, then maybe that produces a bottom. The stock market plays catch up. However, it may just produce a larger bear market rally and extend this on into 2027, as I've talked about. It depends on what happens when the Fed does it, how much of a decline Bitcoin has had. So if we take out the VWAP support from the previous low of the last bear market, and we take out the low, the dotted black line of the previous high that marked the peak of the last bear market, there will be a change of behavior. Then I'd be looking at these previous VWAP support levels from the market from 2017 and 18, the purple line, which is currently coming in around 28,000. That would take us towards an 80% drop if we go back down towards these levels. Bitcoin in these bear markets has dropped over here 86%, 84%, 78.5%. The previous bear market now seen here 93%. The bear markets have been approximately 80 to 90%. The smallest one is our last one at 78.5%. So if we lose this area, if we turn sharply off VWAP support, as we've done back over here, and as we've done back over here, and as we've done back over here, if we continue that behavior, and this was a just more feeble bear market rally for Bitcoin, more feeble, I should say, than the last bear market rally, which was 46% to the 50% retracement, then Bitcoin, if the bottom does fall out of Bitcoin, I'd be looking at these previous VWAP support levels. Here, the 28,000 just below that, again, is the black dotted line from the 2017 high. And again, this is in that 25 to 28,000 area, which is an 80% drop for Bitcoin. And then if we take it from the low back over here in 2015, you're looking right here at around 13,000, 11,000 here, 11 to 13,000. Again, an 80. This level right here would be an 80% drop or so for Bitcoin. This level would be a 90 or 90+% drop for Bitcoin if we have a change in behavior. If we lose these VWAP support levels from the previous 2022 low and the peak that began, the VWAP level that began the last bear market. So the takeaways here are that the bear market will continue in all likelihood until it gets back above VWAP resistance from the October 6th high, just as it's done in the past. Second takeaway, again, the previous high and low from the last bear market of VWAP support levels have marked the bottoms. We tried to bounce off of it at 60,000. Just slightly violating that level as we did back over here, just as we did back over here, just as we have seen in the past. If we lose this level, takeaway number 3 here, these levels have marked support. Takeaway number 2, takeaway number 3, if we lose these levels, there'll be a change of behavior. We'll be losing VWAP support from the previous bear market, from the high to the low, the VWAP support levels, which have marked the bottoms in our recent bear markets. If we take this level out, change of behavior would open the door to a much bigger drop for Bitcoin. And as I've said, Bitcoin gets these dramatic drops, 50% plus drops to kick off the bear market like we've had here. The next leg down should take us sharply below these levels. Again, 52% drop. We had a 52% drop here, and then the bottom fell to Bitcoin. You had this drop right here, tried to rally back up and rally back up a couple of times, and then, again, the bottom fell out of Bitcoin. Here, again, you had all this volatility surrounding the top and tried to rally a couple of times in here, but then the bottom fell out of Bitcoin. But the Moon Boys do what they always do. Oh, this time it's different. We don't have bear markets anymore. Bitcoin's going to $1 million, don't you know? Adoption and the Clarity Act. Everybody's going to buy Bitcoin. Again, hoax after hoax after hoax. And people, what's amazing is people keep falling for all these Moon Boy hoaxes. It's incredible. It's incredible how naive people are. Everybody's going to sell gold and buy Bitcoin. How about in 2022? Inflation's going higher. Everybody's going to pound to Bitcoin as it collapses 78.5%. Hoax after hoax after hoax. People get on a steady diet of this Moon Boy propaganda, and it distorts their thinking, and they can't be objective and see what's happening. So I'm just telling you, we're bouncing off VWAP support, and we've moved into VWAP resistance. So again, we're trapped between VWAP resistance and VWAP support. If we break this VWAP support, there will be a change of behavior, a change of character. If we lose these levels and stay below them, which have marked previous bottoms, here in recent history. We end up coming down to this level. You have a trend line from these lows over here. We turned off of these highs. I told you these peaks, these highs, could be pointing to the next high. I talked about this at great length and detail back at the top. That's why I switched from bullish to bearish back at the top, and I took a lot of heat for it, but I saw evidence of a top. I explained that. People didn't want to hear it. They still don't want to hear it. People are still in denial that we're in a bear market. It's incredible. We lose these levels and we come down to one of these levels. Again, we're going back to test 15,000, either here or on into here. And if we come down into here, these lows could be pointing to the next bottom. That's ridiculous. Grow up. The bear markets for Bitcoin are 80 to 90%. If we lose this level, that is likely to continue. Now, the good news is we may only have 4 to 4.5 months left of the bear market if the 4-year cycle remains intact. If the 4-year cycle, but we're going to see Bitcoin move to much lower levels. If the bear market is extended, then the 4-year cycle could break. Eventually, at some point in the future, the 4-year cycle will break, but right now it is not broken. It remains intact. We topped right on time with it in October of 2025. And again, another Moon Boy hoax. Oh no, we're in the super cycle. The 4-year cycle's broken. Yeah, right, as we topped right on time with it, and it's ushered in a 50+% crash to kick off the bear market as we've done in the past. Just the super cycle, another Moon Boy hoax. Now the people that are telling us, oh no, a breakout at the top and the sell-off was never going to happen. Now again, trying to fit their square peg in a round hole. Oh no, this is wave 4. We're about to get wave 5. I mean, it is just hoax after hoax after hoax with these people, and yet people continue to love being spoon-fed these Moon Boy hoaxes. It's incredible. So VWAP support in the weekly time frame. I thought it is interesting that we're right at this level. I think this level is going to break. I've been predicting since I called the day of the top and predicted this crash. I was correct about it, and I don't think the bear market is over. Don't think 60,000 is the bottom, just as I told you 80,000 wasn't the bottom, and all the other bottoms that the Moon Boys have called 99,000, 103,000, 105,000. Everything's a bottom, as they keep buying the dip that keeps on dipping. I want to buy the dip that ends the dipping. So if we lose this level of support, is what I'm trying to tell you, which again, we're going to come down and likely take out 60,000 soon, lose this level and stay below it, then these other levels of VWAP support then come into play from the previous bear market lows and highs. Now, as I said, there's no evidence that the bear market is over. I know that the people that told us it was never going to happen continue to tell us how everything's a bottom and how it's over. It was over at the 100 period moving average at 80,000. I told you we were going to bounce there and then rise towards 98,900. We rose to just under it and get rejection at the 100 period as correct in the 100 period in the daily. And then we took out the 100 week moving average here and we've moved down towards the 200. Eventually we're going to tag it. We're in a confirmed bear market. Again, I've had signals that have turned bearish the very week of the top, right as we were topping, and bars here have been red ever since. We saw that validated here with momentum turning into the negative region, and it's been there ever since. We've seen that on other indicators as well, like I've talked about with the RSI. Now, we pulled up into the center line for the negative region. Again, it's likely we're going to turn down, eventually test the 200 and 300 week moving average, but signals are still bearish. Even if we try to get the larger bear market rally right now, again, we could see something like this where we got it here, but then the bottom fell to Bitcoin. But my signals, which are correct, would have to turn back to bullish in order for that to happen. Right now, we've gotten rejection off the 200 period in the daily. My signals have turned bearish. In a similar manner, we've seen the RSI move up to the 50 level. The RSI right here, along with momentum, pulling up, but then that's where we've stalled out at the 200 in the daily time frame. And if we get something like what we had the last time around at the 200 period moving average in the daily time frame, we could begin to see the bottom fall out of Bitcoin in either a diversion setup or a multiple point diversion setup, and that's what marked the bottom over here. And we have at least 4 to 4.5 months at least left of this bear market, and 60,000 is not the bottom. Bitcoin again is getting a counter trend bear market rally, and bear market rallies are very deceptive, and we're likely to remain in the negative region, or again here we just pulled just above it and then turned down off of the 50-week moving average. We could do that if we tried to get the bigger bear market rally right here right now. We've only had just under a 38% bear market rally. Over here it was 46%. It may just be a more feeble bear market rally, or possibly not done yet. If we see my signals, which are correct, turn back to bullish. One of my 4 scenarios that I've talked about. All 4 of the scenarios are bearish. Every single one of them. There is no bullish outcome where Bitcoin goes and makes new highs. Every scenario I have takes Bitcoin lower to finish the bear market either in September or October, or maybe on into the summer or something of 2027. It drags out in a prolonged bear market, which it could. We still have a 50-50 sell signal. The RSI is still below the 50 level, and we're still below the 50-week moving average. And if we were to try to go above the 200 period and go higher towards the 50 period moving average, we would likely remain below 97,900 and you would likely stall near a Fibonacci retracement. Over here, we did make it to the 50% retracement. Here, we've only made it to just above the 38.2 Fibonacci retracement I've talked about in the past.